Welcome to our channel. Even though our planet is home to countless mysterious and eerie places, many of them remain shrouded in mystery and fall into oblivion. It seems that some places attract only minimal attention, yet they are filled with unexplainable phenomena and dark history. Before we embark on a journey beyond the known to uncover the secrets of these spooky places, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and without further ado, let's get started. On the coast of the North Sea, there is a small island. However, it's not as idyllic as it might seem. Its name is Deadman's Island. It's a place that looks like something out of the worst nightmare. As you walk on the island, you hear the cracking of human bones beneath your feet. People even believe that an entirely unknown creature roams the island, feasting on human brains. A visit to Deadman's Island is more or less impossible, as entry to the island is strictly prohibited. For the living, it is an uninhabitable place, full of mud and swamps, while the dead feel at home here. The remains you can find here belong to young men and boys who were transported 200 years ago on enormous prison ships between countries under the British Empire. They succumbed to diseases that spread among them in the cramped and damp prison cells. The rising sea level and soil erosion are causing the gradual exposure of their coffins and bones. Most of these skeletons cannot be buried elsewhere, so the sea claims them one by one, on which they once sailed with fear toward a dark end. However, is the prohibition of entry to this island associated with something supernatural that locals fear? Deadman's Island may be inhabited by something that the residents of the neighboring Sheppey Island call an unknown evil. Raymond Seeger recalls what his grandmother told him when he was still a child. She claimed that there is a monster there that feeds on people's brains when it catches them. This monster was supposed to literally extract your brain, leaving you standing as if nothing had happened. When he talks about it on camera, you can see on his face that even though he has reached retirement age, he still fears this island and the evil within it. Could his grandmother have intentionally frightened him to prevent him from venturing to this dangerous place alone? Shirley West, a longtime resident, describes the unsettling night howling that occasionally echoes from there. According to her, it couldn't just be the wind. When you hear it, it sends shivers down your spine, and you know that you will have unpleasant dreams at night. Are these just legends that survive to this day? Or does Deadman's Island truly harbor some dark, mysterious being that receives little attention? Kuldhara is a ghost village in Rajasthan, the largest state in India, where houses have remained abandoned for over 200 years, despite being a once prosperous and thriving area. The story takes a dramatic turn when Salim Singh, the mayor of the capital city of Jaisalmer, a powerful and debauched man, falls in love with the daughter of the leader of Kuldhara's residence. He attempts to force this marriage through violence and threatens the entire village that if the union does not take place, they will face unimaginable consequences. The villagers consider the situation and ultimately decide to act on their own terms. They would rather abandon their homeland than give away the girl. Before leaving, they curse the village to ensure that no one will ever be able to live there again. When the last inhabitants leave this place, all life disappears with their departure. There are speculations that the reason for their exodus might be, for example, a dried-up well or excessively high taxes. However, modern paranormal investigators claim that there is indeed something wrong in Kuldhara. A paranormal group from Delhi decided to spend a night in this village a few years ago. Expedition members later recounted that something touched them several times, and they also witnessed shadows moving spontaneously, resembling figures, making it impossible for them to sleep. Could these phenomena still be the consequences of the curse placed by the original inhabitants? The Penteli Cave is located in the pine forests of Mount Pentelicus in Greece. A tunnel, 60 meters long and 20 meters high, descends deep underground, branching into further passages. According to legend, one of these passages leads all the way to the gates of the underworld. During the 19th century, testimonies multiplied as people claimed to hear voices or music emanating from the caves, with the source of these sounds never being definitively identified. Reports of shadowy figures and peculiar occurrences led to extensive investigations by paranormal researchers in the following century. Among them was Greek explorer George Balanos, who spent many years in Penteli, partly due to reports of UFO sightings in the area. Bolanos often encountered unexplained technical malfunctions. Could these issues be a result of the influence of the local electromagnetic field? According to American psychology professor Michael Persinger, fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field can create the impression that someone is in an empty room with them or observing them. Can the Earth's magnetism in the Penteli Cave manipulate not only electronics, but also the senses of the visitors themselves? In 1977, a group of workers and technicians arrived at the Penteli Cave, surrounded it with barbed wire and restricted access. They brought bulldozers and dynamite. The reason for these activities remains unknown. There is speculation about whether these people were sent by the US government or the Greek army. One day, a married couple notices an abandoned car in a place where it shouldn't be. Over the next few days, they return to the site, and the car is still there. The woman begins to observe the surrounding bushes and suddenly starts screaming hysterically. Her husband rushes to her. She claims to have seen a small white creature about 60 centimeters tall with huge and frightening glowing eyes. The man eventually only sees the moving bushes and hears something running away. Was it just a common woodland creature, or is it the reason why the Penteli Cave was closed? In 1983, a team of workers disappears suddenly and mysteriously, just as it appeared 6 years earlier. What exactly was happening in the Penteli Cave and why it was closed remains a mystery. At the intersection of Rue de la Roquette and Rue de la Croix-Faubin in Paris lies an ordinary crosswalk, traversed by thousands of people daily, without paying attention to the 5 rectangular indentations in the asphalt. It might seem like a routine road repair, but the reality is different. These 5 points mark the spots where the base of the Parisian guillotine was anchored. 150 years ago, severed heads of convicts, held in the now demolished La Roquette prison, rolled here. Between 1859 and 1899, more than 200 individuals were beheaded at this site, signifying 200 human souls breathing their last breath in one place. It's a location full of horror, torture, and death. Those familiar with the dark history of this place will confirm that nighttime strolls are not the best idea. You sense oppression, an eerie cold, and a strangely moaning wind. Is it mere coincidence, or are these manifestations of a place marked by numerous drastic deaths? Approaching the coast, where a dark and dense forest unfolds, you focus on the peculiar calm and silence enveloping you. You have arrived at Bunce Island, a piece of land belonging to the coastal African state of Sierra Leone. Since 1670, it has been a gateway to hell for tens of thousands of Africans. The local harbor served as their last stop before the journey across the ocean, leading to America and the British colonies of Georgia and South Carolina, where they became the property of cruel slaveholders. Perhaps due to the suffering and despair experienced here, locals believe that the now deserted island is inhabited by the devil himself. According to claims, the lost souls of the slaves roam among the ruins of old prison cells where they were once held. Today, these cells are overgrown with greenery, much like the rusty artillery cannons that symbolize the former oppression of colonial rule. Venturing to this island is reserved for only the bravest, and locals speak of an inexplicable heaviness that descends upon them, especially after nightfall when the island becomes even more haunting. They feel it as a pressure on the chest, as if they are literally compressed by something unknown. Is it the lingering negative energy resonating on Bunce Island? Or are there forces at play even more terrifying than we can imagine? Do you want to experience a night full of horror? Stay at the Fort Garry Hotel in the Canadian city of Winnipeg. We especially recommend room number 202, where supernatural phenomena reminiscent of the works of writer Stephen King are said to take place. In the period around 1920, a newlywed couple rented this room for their honeymoon and enjoyed their wedding night, but it was suddenly disrupted because the bride suffered a severe headache. Her husband decides to resolve the situation as quickly as possible and runs to the pharmacy across the street. However, on the way, he is tragically hit by a horse-drawn carriage. He dies on the road while his bride watches the entire tragic event unfold from the window. This tragedy crushes her to the extent that she hangs herself in the room that night. Allegedly, her ghost now haunts the bed, where she is seen sitting and crying. Even politician Brenda Chamberlain, known for her skeptical nature regarding the supernatural, experiences an unpleasant and horrifying moment during her stay at the hotel. She feels the presence of someone else in her bed, although no one else is in the room with her. Her story arouses general interest in Canada and becomes a headline in all newspapers. Guests and staff even claim to see a ghost in a white gown wandering through some rooms in the hotel, and traces of dripping blood appear around the walls. However, it seems that in Winnipeg, you can also find rooms without these haunting apparitions. In the Brecon Beacons mountain range in southeastern Wales, a stone obelisk stands prominently in the middle of nowhere. This obelisk serves as a memorial to a tragic and painful event from 1900, reminding people to be cautious and not to leave their children unattended in this inhospitable and rugged nature. At the beginning of August that year, Mr. Jones from the village of Meredy decides to take his 5-year-old son, Tommy, to visit his parents who live on a farm in Brecon. They travel part of the way by train, and then walk to the village of Login, from where the final destination is not far. At 8 o'clock in the evening, they arrive at the village to visit Tommy's grandfather, where his 13-year-old cousin William happens to be as well. They send both boys to quickly run to the farm and inform their grandmother that the visitors have arrived. The boys set out on the journey, but somewhere in the middle of the route, little Tommy begins to get more scared as it gets dark. He starts crying and wants to go back to his dad. William tells him to go back and continues on his own. Unfortunately, this decision proves to be a fatal mistake. Frightened, Tommy likely gets lost somewhere. He doesn't return to the village to his father and grandfather or to the farm to his grandmother. Mr. Jones immediately mobilizes all the people in the vicinity to help him find his son. However, the search leads to no success on the first night, and the situation doesn't improve in the following days and weeks. Farmers, police officers, and even soldiers join the search, systematically combing through every inch of land but with no results. One night, Mrs. Hammer, the gardener's wife from Brecon, has a dream in which she sees herself finding the boy. During the subsequent restless nights, unable to sleep, she finally convinces her husband to take horses and go with some relatives to the Brecon Beacons, where she saw little Tommy in her dream. It is Sunday, September 2nd, 1900, and tension hangs in the air. The woman has a feeling that something is wrong when suddenly she hears her husband scream. She discovers that he has found the body of 5-year-old Tommy Jones. No one can comprehend how the little boy ended up in such a distant and elevated place alone. Everyone experiences sorrow at the thought of how scared he must have been before succumbing to exhaustion. The warning obelisk erected in memory of the little boy continues to remind the locals of this terrible tragedy. Some even claim that approaching this obelisk evokes anxiety and fear, mirroring what Tommy must have felt in his final moments. That's all from us for today. If you're interested in videos filled with mysterious mysteries, dark stories, legends, or monsters, and you crave more, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any new videos.